All right, let's dig deeper on the Iran aspect of all of this by bringing in retired Lieutenant General Karen Gibson, former CENTCOM Director of Intelligence. General, great to have you with us. I want to put up on the screen what President Trump put out on Truth Social a short time ago. He said, based on the fact that discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States of America, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. Discussions and final points have been, in both concept and great detail, approved by all parties involved, including the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, and others. The naval blockade will remain in full force in effect until this transaction is finalized. Time and place of the signing to be announced shortly. I mean, I think we can take it pretty definitely that tonight's strikes have been called off. The president told our Trey Yingst he'd been having direct communication with the Iranian leadership. But what do you think of this idea of a deal being imminent? That would seem to be a real change on the Iranians' part.
It certainly would be. I think the administration is understandably frustrated with the slow pace of negotiations, something that they've believed Iran could or should be able to sign for some time. And there may have been a sense that Iran was playing us and taking advantage of the delay in the ceasefire to do a couple of things. One, to rebuild aspects of their military that had been destroyed, specifically missiles and drones. And two, to construct alternate routes for getting their petrochemicals out of the country, whether that's overland, via rail, or through the Caspian Sea. And so it remains to be seen whether or not Iran is actually willing to sign this MOU, this framework. Let's be clear, it's not a full peace deal, and it's certainly not the negotiated settlement that deals with nuclear weapons. But if if they are in fact willing to sign something, that would be a tremendous step forward.
It certainly would be, and we hope that that is the case. It would seem to cut against the grain of history, but we'll see. I'm wondering, too, if one of the reasons why Iran may be having second thoughts is because yesterday CENTCOM put out this picture of paratroopers engaging in live fire. No, not that one. This is call for number 2. They put out a photograph of, there we are. No, we almost had it. There we are. Put out this picture of paratroopers engaging in live fire exercises in the Middle East. I assume that these are members of the 82nd Airborne. And then President Trump said this about potentially taking Karg Island to Fox and Friends this morning. Listen here.
My preference has always been take Karg Island. That's been, Brian knows that. I spoke to him a long time ago. Lawrence knows it. I spoke to him a long time ago. I said my preference would be that. I don't know that America has the stomach for it, to be honest with you. You're going to make a fortune, but I don't know that America has the stomach.
I don't know. Did Iranian leadership look at that and say, oh, my goodness, they might actually go take Karg Island, and that would be economically disastrous for us?
I actually doubt that. I think, it would be tactically feasible for the U.S. military to take Karg Island. It could be done with some of the Marine expeditionary units that are afloat in the area, together with considerable air and special operations support. But the day after is when the problems begin, because whenever you commit ground forces in a combat theater, their force protection actually becomes the highest priority. And so the allocation of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, fighter aircraft, logistical resupply, medevac, et cetera, they jump to the top of the queue. And that drains resources from other missions like maintaining the blockade or maritime escorts or protecting allies in the Gulf. And the proximity of the island to the mainland of Iran means they would probably be under sustained fire and threat for the duration of their time, regardless of whether or not Iran was able to take back the terrain. And so it becomes a very significant resource drain over time with questionable strategic playback.
Yeah, although I would hazard a guess that Iran wouldn't want to lay too much fire down on Karg Island, given that that is its biggest source of oil exports and biggest source of income as well. We did learn yesterday, and this was quite a surprise, that secretly Project Freedom has been underway, escorting tankers through the Gulf. This is what Pete Hegseth said about it.
Project Freedom, the idea of running ships through the Strait of Hormuz, it never stopped. It just went underground to the tune of over 100 million barrels that have moved through and more in the middle of the night, protected by the United States in a way that Iran can't stop.
All right. Well, that said, the cat's out of the bag now. So does the United States have to do more to protect the Strait of Hormuz and those tankers?
Well, so that's all a good news story in terms of putting additional oil out in the market, and it's good for the global economy. I would say that determining that the straits are open for business is actually not a call that we can make. It's a call that's made by commercial business entities who are weighing the potential for profit against potential risk, and so, or perceived risk. And so even these strikes of the last 2 days have probably done, I imagine, some damage to Iran's ability to choke off the straits. But there's that other side of the coin. Commercial entities have to perceive that the risk is low enough that they are willing to resume traffic there. And so it will take some time before, obviously, we return to normal commerce. Yep. But it is a positive step for the global oil market.
And a lot of that really depends on whether or not they can get insurance for their cargo as well. General, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.